Methods of identification other than fingerprinting. Here we go. What is anthropometry? It is the science of obtaining systematic measurements of the human body. Anthropometry first developed in the 19th century as a method employed by physical anthropologists for the study of human variation and evolution in both living and extinct populations. And specifically, anthropomorphic measurements involve the size, including height, weight, surface area, and volume. Structure including sitting versus standing, height, shoulder and hip width, arm and leg length, and neck circumference. Who is Alphonse Bertillon? Alphonse Bertillon was a French police officer and biometric researcher who applied the anthropological technique of anthropometry to law enforcement, creating an identification system based on physical measurements. The tools of anthropometry. Stadiometer. It is a piece of medical equipment used for measuring human height. It is usually constructed out of a ruler and a sliding horizontal headpiece which is adjusted to rest on the top of the head. The anthropometer. An instrument that consists of a calibrated vertical rod to which are attached two horizontal arms, one fixed and one movable, for measuring the human trunk and limbs. Biocondylar joint. A joint in which two rounded surfaces of one bone articulate with shallow depressions on another bone. Skinfold calipers. A skinfold caliper is used to assess the skinfold thickness so that a prediction of the total amount of body fat can be made. This method is based on the hypothesis that the body fat is equally distributed over the body and the thickness of the skinfold is a measure for subcutaneous fat. Scales. Scales is a measuring instrument for determining the weight or mass of an object. Weighing scales are used in many industrial and commercial applications, and products from feathers to loaded tractor trailers are sold by weight. Specialized medical scales, including infant medical scales and bathroom scales, are used to measure the body weight of human beings. The name scales derives from the pair of scales or dishes in which object to be weighed and weights, masses against which to weight them are placed. What is portrait parl? Portrait parl is a verbal and ambiguous description of a person being identified, such as information may be given by witness relatives or person who is acquainted with physical features of a person to the identified. What is forensic odontology? Forensic odontology is the branch of forensic medicine has established itself as an important and indispensable service in medical legal matters towards the creation of justice and secures society for the future inhabitants. Forensic odontology is the application of dental science to legal investigations, primarily involving the identification of the offender by comparing dental records to a bite mark left on the victim or at the scene, or identification of human remains based on dental records. What is forensic anthropology? Forensic anthropology can be described as the analysis of human remains for medical legal purpose of establishing identity. Four basic biological criteria. from the basis of any primary identification. A. Skeletal or developmental age. B. Biological sex. C. Living statue. D. Ancestry or racial affiliation. What is forensic serology? Forensic serology is the detection, identification, classification, and study of various bodily fluids such as blood, semen, saliva, urine, breast milk, vomit, fecal matter, and perspiration and their relationship to a crime scene. Two types of serology. 1. Presumptive test. These tests provide two separate means of producing a result. One is to use compounds that can have an effect on blood when introduced to it. These results are simple and quick way of proving that samples are actually blood, especially if time is one of the essence. 2. Confirmatory tests. This is a more involved set of tests that are carried out using samples of what is believed to be blood and mixing them with a chemical compound that reacts adversely with hemoglobin. The resultant factor being the production of a crystal under the microscope that can be identified as blood. What is DNA fingerprinting? It is a laboratory technique used to establish a link between biological evidence and a suspect in a criminal investigation. And DNA fingerprinting is a method used to identify an individual from a sample of DNA by looking at unique patterns in their DNA. DM. Submitted by Jetroy de la Cruz from Criminology 23 and submitted to Mr. Joker Nazario.